Everybody, what the hell is going on? How are you? I am Tommy, and you are on the Lifeboat. Diane Miller, I'm glad you're here. Brock Bandy, what's happening? Neptune Lioness, Kathy Wright, good to see you. Hey, Kristen Melinda, how you been? Daily Watcher, well, you better be. You all better be. Do me a favor, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. It really does piss off YouTube. Confident Joy, good to see you. Cindy G, there you are. Hey, Jerry, you got it. David Booley, good to see you. Tracy, how are you? Jet Set JP from Seattle. See, someone gets it. Hey, F around and find out. Good to see you. Good evening to you too. Caroline in Canada. Glad you're here. Heavenly Heather Lane. Christy Wolf. Hey, Sheila. Mrs. What is that? Mrs. Yeah, I got you. Sorry. Is that Punisher that I just missed? All right, you're flying by now. So, but it is. There's Punisher. How are you? Sarah Slater, good to see you. Lisa Renfro, I'm glad that you're here. Sandy Bowers, how you been? Mittens 1970. Mineola girl from Florida. Wait a second. Are you originally from Florida? Is there a Mineola in Florida? I thought your friend might be from New York. Hey, Tracy from Canada, glad that you're here. Hello, Heather. All right, let's get this you-know-what show underway. Randy Pearson, glad you're here. Louisa, there she is. See, I've just been tap dancing. I was waiting for my wife to get here. Reese, good to see you. I am glad that you are here. Tommy Bird, good to see you. You're from Long Island. Figured. Sorry, I was running a little bit late. Retired PD, I'm glad you're here. Might need you tonight. Cheap Chick, sorry I'm a little bit late. I was over on my wife's channel having a very good time with it. Sherry, how are you? Connecticut, good to have you here. So traditionally, I try not to miss her show because, honest to God, it's my favorite show on YouTube. So I was over there because I screwed around and made her go on a little bit late. So she ran close to the end there. Hey, look at this. Somebody just turned somebody green. And over here on the boat, we believe that everybody looks just a little bit better in green. Glad that you're here. I have no idea what to call you. I bet my wife does. Thank you for the support, by the way. Keeping free speech alive. I appreciate that. Also, thank you to everybody that smacks that like button because I swear to God, it makes a huge difference. Just got the new analytics out, and every time they come in, I'm shocked at how many of you hit the like button, how many of you leave comments, and recently, especially in the last couple of months, how many of you take the time to hype this channel? And if you say things like rape, how far in am I? Did I just kill myself? 3 minutes. I'm an idiot. If you say things like rape and suicide and bullet and gun, they're not going to take your channel down. People will leave comments and go, don't do that. They're going to take your channel down. They don't, because these words are on a list, right? The list doesn't exist, but they will leak the stuff out. Whine a little bit more. Good to see you. And they just don't push your videos. However, how does one hype the channel? Well, you have to wait until this is over. And then what you want to do is ask somebody with a wrench, because I'm an absolute idiot. I'm a YouTuber, but up until just recently, I have never told somebody to hit the like button or to hit subscribe or any of those things that help your channel. So I've just become a YouTuber of late. So technically, I don't know how to do any of that. I probably should work on it. So here's the thing. We've actually got something to talk about. A lot of times when you're trying to keep a case alive, which is a big deal. It really is, especially if it's something that's unsolved. You don't want this to become a back burner case that nobody talks about because it hurts them. It absolutely hurts them. It's a big deal if you can keep this in the, you know what? You're so right. I'll put that up there because that's actually a great comment. This is something where if you don't keep this in the public eye, it's not that the cops are going to stop working on it. It's not that the FBI is going to stop working on it, but it is absolutely going to be one of those situations where there are going to be people that if you're not putting this out into the public, people stop calling in. And this is going to sound really, really stupid, right? But believe me, this is the truth. They're just now starting to put up billboards that are written in Spanish. The number of people that live in Arizona that don't speak English, it's absolutely incredible. And I'm not being a dick. Lake Mineola is up by Orlando, Florida. Well, I'm glad that I was right then and I didn't look like an idiot because she said, yes, I am from Long Island. Tommy, Travis Reynolds, Tucson sheriff arrested for kidnapping, videos on Google. Really? B. Rose, I will take a look at that. I have not seen that. Heather Snoopy, good to see you. Hey, Tommy, you are one lucky man to be loved by such a beautiful woman. Reese is beautiful inside and out. God bless you both, from Maggie in Australia. I love that. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. She really is my favorite person. Barbara Waite, Thanks for tap dancing until we got here. That's kind of how I get down. So here's the deal. This is the story now that people are running with, right? And when I say that people are running with something, hold on a second. Interesting, Jerry. Interesting. Jerry says the guy that was arrested looks a lot, the sheriff that was arrested looks a lot like the person on the front steps. Now, not busting on you, I promise. And I promise I'm not. I'm not just saying that. I mean that. Hey, Jason, but how many people have we said looks exactly like the perp on the porch? And this is one of the things that is a problem, right, that we deal with every single time that there's a true crime case. As human beings, and I wish I could remember the word for this because I read a book about it, but it was a long time ago. But we as human beings look for patterns. We absolutely look for patterns, and I can prove it to you. When you're 6 years old and the first time you lay on your back and you look up at the sky and you look at clouds, what's the first thing you do? For real. That one looks like Snoopy. That one kind of looks like a sailboat, right? Our brain instantly starts to, proportions. Excellent. I am not good at that. It is my weakest skill is the ability to look at something and distinguish between things visually. Would you explain why the dude's blood isn't sent into the database? I absolutely will. But we look for patterns, and this becomes a problem big time in true crime. They did a study a long time ago, and people are going to go racist, but they did a study a long time ago where they would flash something on a computer screen for like 2 seconds. And what you're looking at is a crime scene. There's a guy with a gun. There's somebody with a purse freaking out, and they would show you one after another, and they would ask you questions. How tall was the perp? What color was he? And the number of people that misidentified white people as black people was astounding. And people go, well, that's because racism is inherent in white people. Truth of the matter was the same numbers for people who watched it that were not white. African Americans scored almost the exact same on that test. It's just, sadly, we're not great at looking at these kind of things. Now, here's why the dude's blood isn't in the data bank. First of all, the blood that was put into the data bank didn't come back from anybody that's a perp. The blood that was put into CODIS came off of a glove. They're looking right now at one blood sample that came from inside, right? Am I the only kid that did that with the ceiling spackle? No, I did that too. Absolutely did that too. Or wallpaper, I was horrible about it. But the blood sample that they have is now at several labs across the U.S. They're trying to detangle it. What that means is it's not just perp blood. There's other DNA in there, and it could be trace DNA. Good question, Booger, and I'll get to it in 1 second. So it could be trace DNA, but they're trying to unravel this. Now, let's say my blood sample, Reese's, and Booger Presley's all are there, and you know who we are, and you have a sample of our blood. You can detangle that in seconds. But if the only person that you have a sample for is me, it's going to be a biatch to get that stuff untangled. And it could literally take years, right? However, at the rate that that technology is advancing, they're saying that by the end of this year, we're going to be looking at something really, really different in terms of what they're capable of. I saw an interview done on a channel out of Great Britain, and they were talking to one of the people that actually works at the same place that this blood is at. And they said that every single month, their abilities double. That a year ago, what they were capable of doing. And this was one of the first groups of people to come out and say, I think we can trace DNA that doesn't, like, let's say you get a DNA sample and it doesn't hit in the CODIS system. We could just go and start looking at other people and find relatives of them. And the world laughed at these people. And in the beginning, it was, 1 in a million stuff. And now it's going like this. It's absolutely cooking at a rate that is off the charts, right? For real. And we're getting there. I promise you, we're absolutely getting there. So what you were talking about was Nerdy, right? Nerdy Attic, I believe is the person's name. And it is a creator that, hold on 1 second. That is the funniest thing in the world. I was actually lurking on that. The creator that beat his girlfriend is now trying to put suspicion on Savannah's brother, Cameron. Yeah, well, you know why? Because you got to keep popping off with new stuff to talk about. And there are people that will come up with literally anything. But if a person shows you who they really are, it's a great idea to believe them. And that creator, I think we have a good idea who he is. Yeah, that's funny as hell, Slot Puppy. Yeah, that's all right. My mom confuses the two of us all the time, too. It's absolutely something that happens all of the time. Did best. I could put up a mask on the sheriff. I'll email it to you right now. Tell us what you think. He has glasses on, though. Do it. More questions. When and how did Nancy's dog die? They've not let that out, but allegedly, this was not a young animal. It had been handed off to her by someone else, right? 23andMe's database is not public, and nor are the bigger ones. Yeah, but it didn't stop them in the Brian Koberger case, did it? Don't let those people give you the old 1-3. Yeah, see what I did there? Don't let those people bullshit you. If you're going to put your stuff into there, I promise you, he said he was the better looking one. He's been saying that since I was 4. You can absolutely show up there with an FBI warrant and talk to people that own those companies into releasing it. They did it in the Koberger case. They don't want to leak that stuff out, but it did get leaked out. And there are a lot of people that bailed and said, we want our DNA taken off of that. You said it would never be used for anything other than this. We want it pulled off. And I don't know how I feel about that, right? I honestly don't know how I feel about that. It seems to me to be an uncomfortable question because I'm all about privacy and all of that jazz, but I also want cases solved, right? So this makes it puts us into an uncomfortable kind of place. Come on now. You sent it to me. I haven't gotten it yet, so sorry about that. So this is what's going on. There is a creator. Were they saying Johnny is hotter? Yeah, believe it or not, Reese, they were saying that. So there's been a content creator who has said that she has sources. I believe it's a she, right? That said that she has sources. And what I have come up with, yeah, Johnny's 12 years older. See, where is Arizona? Hold on a second. Where Arizona is on the border, would it be impossible that sheriff was threatened and that is why he is such a menace? Yeah, we're pretty damn close. It's like from Tucson, you can get there in about an hour and 20 minutes, probably about an hour if you're driving like a jackass, you know. But hey, Ann from Mass, good to see you. So you absolutely can get there pretty quickly. And make no mistake, there's a lot of crime that's going on there. Hold on one second because this just got in.
Talk amongst yourself.
Yeah, hold on. Smoke them if you got them. I can kind of see that. But now do me a favor, right? Get a screenshot of me right now. Right? Get that? Or back up and get it and do the same thing with my face and see what it looks like. Let's get a look at that. Because I'm telling you that I start to feel freaked out because we really do. No, Jerry, I think you did a good job of putting the mask on, in all honesty. What would stop the FBI from sending the DNA to 23andMe and wait for the results? Well, 23andMe, they're going to have to go in there with a court order and pressure them. And 23andMe got some bad feedback, and so did the other companies that worked with the authorities on the Brian Koberger case. And you would think that would have been good for them. But there are people like, I would not put my DNA on that. I just wouldn't. And I'm never going to commit crime again. My DNA is in 50 databases. I'm in CODIS. I'm everywhere, right? As a retired criminal, I can't begin to tell you how many times my DNA has been taken. Enough that they could probably plant it, right? I got so many DNA. Every time I went to a new prison, they took it. In the feds, it's brutal how often they take your DNA. But I don't want anybody in my family, right? That the CODIS isn't going to end up on 23andMe. If you break the law, you should be in the system. But I'm a little tripped out that they hunt people down that way. It really does, and I know I shouldn't be, but W3andMe. So all right, so here's where we're at. So a person by the name of Nerdy Addict, is a content creator, said that they've got some people inside. They've got sources, and their sources have told them some unusual things. Did they fire the current? No, they did not fire him. They're in the process of trying to get a recall. You can't fire a sheriff. They're an elected official. So unless it's gross negligence or a crime, you can't just get rid of them. Glad you're here, Natalie. So what you have to do is you have to get enough signatures to get that person and get rid of them. It's not that easy to do. You follow me? So they're in the process right now of trying to get over 100,000 signatures to get rid of this. Do you think the sheriff took? Hold on one second. Do you think the sheriff took such an attitude about searchers because of all of the other bodies they found? I'm assuming they were missing persons too. Well, here's the thing. They're not the bodies that they found. One was down in Phoenix. Another one. So Pima County, if you look at Pima County, it's got landmass the size of many of the small states in the Northeast. We're talking about a crap load of land, but there's nothing on it. And there is a lot of people, sadly, who try to get across the border, right? And a lot of them die in that process. It's really a tough thing. It doesn't get covered a lot. This is the most horrible part about illegal immigration is that it's run by the worst people on planet Earth, right? It's run by cartels. And when you pay money to get, hey, Oregon, glad you're here. When you pay money to get these people across the border, if you're a woman, you're getting raped on the way here. And I'm not saying that like flippantly. I promise you it's going to happen. It's horrific. You hear stories about this where, especially if you're 14 to 24, you're going to get raped 6 times on the way here because you can't call the cops. You can't do anything. The people that are bringing you, they call coyotes. And these are people that have criminal records that make mine look fun, right? These are bad people. And they just take advantage of people and do whatever they want. And then they give them armbands, wristbands of different colors. And those wristbands are going to be used to determine how much money you still owe them. Let's say you paid 15 grand to get across the border. You're going to pay the rest of it once they get in there. And if you don't, that person is going to end up working at a massage parlor, giving mouth hugs until they paid off $15,000. And it destroys these people. And a crap load of them that are, say, 50 to 60, there are times in Tucson where it's 120 degrees. There are times in Tucson where it's 125. And you got to walk across this desert area, and people die there all the time. They also get whacked. People that piss them off get, out of sorts or whatever. They kill people. It's tragic. But there are a lot of bodies out there. You start looking in that area, like between the border and where you're going to first start running into human beings. Even if you say, well, there's people across the border, there are places where they're not. And there are people, sadly, in the U.S. that have huge farms or huge ranches that'll say, yeah, you give me 20 grand a month, I'm never going to report that anybody's cruising through my field. And there's a lot of that goes on. And a lot of people end up dying out there. So I don't know that necessarily that's what he was worried about, because most of the searching they were talking about doing was in the Catalina foothills, which is a hell of a long distance from where most of the bodies are found. Why is Cameron blaming Savannah's fame and wealth? Would you be blaming not giving your elderly mother better security with all the resources they had? They're a smart family. This is a hard situation. Can you imagine being in the same place that they're in now? And you've got one of the siblings. There's 3 of you, right? So me and Sister Scoville and my brother. And my sister's worth $55 million. She's famous. If you tell anyone in the world her name, everyone's going to know who she is. My mom gets snatched, and I'm a thinker. My first thought is going to be, if my sister wasn't famous, my mom would be at the house. And when we're in that kind of stressful situation, we're not always the best of thinkers or the best of human beings. I think that's probably not Cameron's best work. It's sad, but I can completely understand why he would say it. It's kind of a bummer. Savannah said in Hoda interview, she always left her back door open, at least 2 of them during the night especially. Yeah, I heard that. And I find that, I don't know, man. I find it super hard to believe, right? I really do find it super hard to believe. Hey, new here, and I enjoy your no filter. KB, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
We've left the doors open before.
Not in Tucson.
By accident, sure.
Oh, yeah, not intentionally. You leave a door open in Tucson, and really funky things get in your house. And I don't mean javelinas and things like that. They're usually afraid of humans. Scorpions, on the other hand, are not particularly afraid of humans. Rattlesnakes, believe it or not, will look for places that feel good under their belly, and they could end up in there. Have you seen this guy, Travis Reynolds, arrested a former Pima? Yeah, we were just talking about that. I have not seen him. Everyone here has. I am looking at a picture of him right here on my lap, and I can see where if you put that on there, he definitely looks that way. She didn't say that the mother propped the back door open. She said the back door was found propped open, which could have been the perp. Where's my javelina? Did Reese say that?
Yeah.
Tommy, something about the perp's gait makes me think he's from south of the border. Latinos generally love abuelas. Don't think he meant to harm her. Reason 2 was an apology. Well, ransom letter 2 may have been an apology. We only are getting this from one place. However, right? May I ask why no caps? Because YouTube actually gets bummed out about it. It's a YouTube thing. Honest to God, I'm not making that up. Hi from South Carolina. Love your show. I follow daily. Well, that's a kind thing to say. She didn't say, yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Nanos has something to hide. He's proven to be a violent man. That's why he wouldn't let anyone plus the FBI. I don't know. The guy's a dirtbag. I will go with that. I'm not him. You sent it? I need to check this out. Pagoda, my javelina. Lisa Trimble, thank you so much. Look at this. Keeping free speech alive. And Johnny Scoble said, email him for the love of God. It's just how he said it too. Show us the pictures. Well, you won't see them the same way on this. And if the amount of time it would take me to upload them would probably piss you off a little bit. But I will do it tomorrow. I'll show you this one. I may not look like the guy on the porch. What do you think? What do you think? Probably not looking like the dude on the porch. How did the family know she was taken from bedroom? RC, that's a great question. Now, how does any of the stuff that's being said, is it known? For instance, she was taken out in the middle of the night, right, without her shoes. Do we really know that? YouTube back in 1999 meant that I was screaming. I think that was one of the problems, in all honesty. I think what happened is, and I used to joke about that when I first got on YouTube. Somebody would put something in all caps and I'd go, why are you yelling at me? And it became a standard joke. But what happens is people start going back and forth in the chats, and it causes dissension. And YouTube really needs a little more dissension because it's just such a peace-loving place where everybody is kind to one another, which is why I live in South America. I do. Yeah, we all sing Kumbaya a lot. There's a lot of people out there that really love me, and that's what happens when you're a content creator. The guy arrested today. What happened with him, and who did he kidnap? Natalie, I promise you my next show is on that, so come back tomorrow. But I was really digging into this, what has been leaked out about the second letter. Now, just on the outside shades, that what was his name last night? Andy Montbatten. Andy, if you happen to be listening, you asshat.
Well, it was,
I'm pretty sure we were calling him Montbatten. Why would we have called him that if his name wasn't Andrew?
I'm trying to remember his real name.
Well, anyway, the guy that last night went off on me about this, Harvey Levin, who released the first letter that was released to the public that was allegedly a ransom note, was released on the 3rd, right? Just about 72 hours after the abduction, right? Give or take. So about 3 days afterwards, which was the point I made. And he said, no, that happened one day afterwards. On the 2nd, she was actually snatched right going into the day of the 1st. Absolutely. Harvey Levin got it at 10 o'clock in the morning and released it literally immediately afterwards. Colonel Mustard immediately blames Scarlett O'Hara. Yeah, he did it. Yeah, he did it with a candlestick. There you go. When I heard Savannah say that about the pajamas and the shoes, it did make me think they've seen much more video than released. Yeah, especially because, like, you could logically say, well, if there was blood next to the bed, you know she was snatched out of her bed. But there isn't. Allegedly, the only blood that was inside the house was right next to the front door. So
maybe they said we don't want to see my mom. We don't want the world to see my mom get dragged out of the house.
That's a possibility. Arizona has the most number of varieties of rattlesnake in the United States. And believe it or not, you'll see them all the damn time. Yep. Like, you don't have to go hiking to see rattlesnakes.
Cool.
Yeah, they're my favorite snake, and I don't like snake. The drunk guy, James or John, showed up again today at Nancy Guthrie's house. Yeah, you know something? Here's the deal. If a guy shows up there and starts talking crazy stuff, grab them and arrest them. Right? Public intoxication. Get them for disturbing the peace. I mean, cops are great at this. Get some bullshit charge you can pull them in on and talk to them for a long time. So here's the deal. Yesterday, that boy was just going off on me about this. The first letters, nowhere are you going to document that those letters were received on the 2nd within 24 hours of what happened. Nevertheless, even if they were, asshat, that's not usually how this goes. Normally, you leave a letter at the house, right? That way the people don't call the cops. The people don't call the FBI. That's really what you want to avoid, because once they get called, things get really ugly. As a criminal, what you don't want more than anything in the world is the feds, right? A state crime, you're probably going to get out of prison. You go to the state facilities, most of them, you're going to do about 60% of the sentences. In some places, you can do 40% of the I'm not a Christian. I don't think Savannah's message is for us non-believers. Well, you know what? She is a Christian. Can't really bust her balls for that, right? I mean, what she's saying is from her heart. So, if she had come out as a Satanist, the world would be saying the same thing. I'm not a Satanist, so it's probably not a message for me. But so the initial ransom note surfaced and are received on media outlets like TMZ on the 3rd. The second, this is the important one, right? The second one came in on, let's see here. Came in on the either the 5th or the 4th or the 5th. Siblings release early videos urging communications, yada, yada, yada. On the 7th, right? Before the deadline, Savannah and siblings posted video saying, "We received your message. We understand." This was kind of an odd message. It was over in like 20 seconds, right? This thing was absolutely over this fast. Yes, I got these and I'm putting them together for a show. I appreciate you. So we received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very important to us. This is very valuable to us and we will pay. Now, when this came out, we talked about it on the show. Basically that day, it is hard to keep Tommy in line. My mom will yell at me too. But she did. She told me I got an F on my show. So we talked about this on the show the day that it came out, right? We came over here, we read it, and everybody said, sounds like she thinks her mother's dead, right? These are the kind of phrases that very often people that are Christians say things very much like this, right? We want to so that we can celebrate with her. A lot of people extrapolated from that this would be a celebration of life, right? Yeah, Reese got 3 Fs. It's better than I did. I believe God told her that she is with him. It made me cry.
I get A's from mom.
It was.
Take that.
Thank you. That's a very kind thing to say. It's an odd thing, right? But everybody believed from that it sounded like she was dead, right? You know what? Do me a favor, Iverson. Send me an email. I'm not kidding. It's at my name. Send me an email. Put that in the subject. I'd love to talk to you about inner voices that don't let you sleep. Been there, done that, right? Spent 30 years on heroin. I got that voice down to a science, right? Shoot me an email. So this is, Johnny did get A's. My mom doesn't. He's the favorite. I mean, we all know this.
What happened?
It probably had something to do with the prison sentence and the bank robbing. But this is the letter they're talking about. Now, I could argue that this is absolutely ridiculous and absolutely make you believe it. For real, I can make a great argument for this. But first, smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. Then every time I go live, you'll catch me. So if this person is correct, right? If this person is correct, this would be something that sounds super legit. And the reason is that was the only letter that didn't ask for money. There was no demand in that. And they said that back then. This is not something they just started saying. Then why did she allege notes say, we will pay, we'll pay? Because I think what she was saying, and a lot of people said this at the time, I think that they were saying, we understand what you're saying. She's gone. Because allegedly what the letter said is, we're sorry. We didn't have any idea how bad her heart was. She's with the Lord. That's allegedly, and that is what, what's up? But that's allegedly what they're saying, right? That is allegedly what they're saying that this did. Why after this alleged note did they say we'll pay? Is because I think this is what people are alleging, that they wanted to get the body back, right? We won't have peace. Let me read this to you one more time. We received your message and we understand. Think about this now through what has been alleged by Nerdy. We received your message and we understand. If you're talking to someone who just told you your mom is dead, we received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother so that we can celebrate with her. Celebration of life. This is the only way we will have peace. Because if she's just out there and this is all we have to go on, then we don't, we're never going to know whether you're telling us the truth or not. This is very valuable to us and we will pay. Like, I got money. Get my mom back here and I'll pay you for her body. And look, long before anybody talked about this, everybody here was talking about this. Everybody was saying it sounds like they want to buy her body. This doesn't sound like someone that says, I know you have my mother and I want her back so that she can hang out with us. She's missed. This sounds like we're trying to get the body back. Now, is that the truth? I don't know. Because it's just as plausible that if you've been living through this entire case, right, you heard everybody theorize on this, right? Everybody said this, not just my channel, not the people in my channel. And I wasn't the one saying it. The people in the channel were. I mean, going off about it. So if everybody on YouTube was saying this and you wait, I don't know, say 35, 40 days, and you pop out and go, hey, I got a source. And guess what they said? You're feeding us something we already believed. There's a possibility in that really will make you get a ton of views, right? That is actually something that will happen, right? It really will. So I don't know. It's hard to look at this. Seriously, what is it? Is it my breath? What the hell's the matter with you people? 250. Is it that bad? Good Lord, man. Because Reese curses like a sailor or a longshoreman. Doesn't bother me. I've always wanted to ask this for some time. Do you find it odd that after everyone was talking about a ransom? Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing.
It was a failed robbery. You made right.
We will pay. Didn't they say we will pay? Yeah. But it doesn't sound exactly... U.S. taxpayers allegedly paid. Nobody paid any of these people. There was no, and you know how I know this? Because they leaked out all of the different addresses, right, on the blockchain, and there's literally 100 different people looking at that blockchain to see if money is transferred there. One time, somebody put $300 in that. Now you can't tell where that came from, right? Words do matter, Lurking Zeppelin. I absolutely believe that. Does your mom watch every show? Good God, let's hope not. Good God, let's hope not. Where's my retired cop when I need him? My mouth is a lot worse than yours and Tommy's put together. Good God, for real? Explain why no proof of life or death then. Now, I can, again, I only do this, right? As most of you know, unless you're brand new here, I talk about true crime from the criminal's side of it, right? I don't talk about it from the cop side. It's not exactly how I do things. So I can happily answer this from the true crime side. If somebody reached out to me the way they did, right, you put it up on, I no way in hell I'm getting involved in that. So now I've already screwed up and killed a woman, which means I'm going to spend the rest of my life in the pokey. Right? No two ways about it. In the commission of a felony, you killed a person. That's capital, right? You can get the needle for that shit. So the people that committed these crimes need this to stop. And you're not going to stop it by now trying to set up a way that we can exchange some cash. Because I know people go, Bitcoin's untraceable. Trust and believe it's not. Look at how much money they have gotten and recovered off of the blockchain. And I don't mean they can steal it off the blockchain, but it's like the best example I can use if you're not familiar with the blockchain is this. I could take you to a house and sit you in front of it and go, who's in there? I got no idea who's in there, right? But you could sit in front of that friggin' house until somebody came out of it. And that's kind of what you could do with the blockchain. Because Bitcoin has to be removed from the blockchain to spend. And once you start pulling it off of the blockchain, it's going to end up at a bank. It's going to end up at an ATM machine. It's going to end up at some place where it's going to be tracked and there are going to be cameras. Even if you go, I found an ATM machine that didn't have a camera. I went there, popped out $5,000. You're going to walk away from that somewhere, right? You're going to have to leave some kind of a footprint. We don't live in that place anymore. It's scary. This is valuable to us. Doesn't sound like you're talking about someone that's alive. I agree with you on this. I really do. However, everybody speculated on this back then, right? But it wasn't the last time that they talked, right? If that was the last thing that they ever said. But additional appeals happened, right? Cameron asking for a way to communicate directly so that they can move forward. It didn't sound the same tone as Savannah's, right? And people asked, why the hell would he think that this was a kidnapping? Why is that the first place you go? Why else would you snatch somebody, not kill them, right? Take them out of the house. I would imagine they were waiting for somebody to reach out and say, this is how much money we want. If my mom disappeared and I was Savannah Guthrie or my sister was, I'd be waiting to hear what they wanted. Because that's got to be, I guess this is hard to explain to people, but nobody does this kind of crap. It's dangerous as shit to go into someone's house in the middle of the night to steal a woman, right? Kidnappings don't usually happen with octogenarians. This one was in her 80s. This was a dumb idea from Jump Street, right? It doesn't sound to me like they were trying to get back someone that's alive. I heard that the kidnappers told the family to use the word celebrate as a code word. That could be. But I think that you heard that from some.
Should look at resolve on her face.
I think you probably heard that from somebody that theorized that, right? That's kind of how I believe. Because it doesn't make sense. How are your hot peppers doing there, Johnny Scoble?
Well, they're germinating right now.
They are germinating. She died within 24 hours after taking her. CJ, I tend to believe that, but I'll bet you it's closer to 12. I bet you it's closer to 6, because I would imagine that if they were sending a ransom note, and I'm not 100% convinced that all of these things are attached. I have a hard time believing that. But if they were going to send a ransom note, they'd have done it like that. I think they were fighting to try to keep the woman alive. I think they were probably panicking, trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with her. They assumed her heart wouldn't be as bad as it was. But they described this woman as not always being able to walk to the mailbox, right? So we're talking about, 150 feet is too much for the woman to walk because it's going to wear her out. You go in and scare the ever-loving crap out of her and start marching her around and screaming at her and freaking her out. Allegedly, they didn't put in her hearing aids. Right, so she's seeing like scary faces in balaclavas, and she can't make out everything they're saying. I would imagine that could shut your heart down pretty quickly, right? We're going to be doing a show tomorrow, and this is going to be a cool one. We're talking about the most evil cult on planet Earth, still in business, and its ties to Aleister Crowley and the sort of the whole Satanist kind of a thing. This is now a murder. They don't want to continue contact. I agree with that. That's actually very astute. So don't miss tomorrow nights, because it's going to be a pisser. See what I did there? Just for your information, I'm a retired 911. That's okay. You're still somebody in the game, yes? What do you think, retired PD? Let me know what you think. I do believe, I thought this was a murder a long time ago, and boy, oh boy, the crap I catch every time I say I think she's dead. You literally would think that I did it. The emails, the comments, you know what? She can make it. Look at Elizabeth Smart. Elizabeth Smart was 14, man. This is actually a pretty good comment. Bullshit apology. No one sick enough to kidnap an elderly woman would have remorse for what they did to her. I agree with you, man. I mean, honestly.
No remorse now.
Got you, Mop Man. I'll do that, Diane. Thank you. They are not going to give the body back knowing that it would give law enforcement evidence to identify him. I think that's pretty astute also, right? Does Johnny have a set time in general? Hell no. So make sure you hit the bell for notification after subscribing so that when Johnny goes, but I will usually tell you on here, I didn't go live before him. I believe that it's now a murder, and that's the reason they no longer contact the family and media. Yeah, I think at this point they got to be scared to death, right? Yeah, I know I'm way behind. You shut up. I'm answering questions. Would you, you would think that that white light in his mouth he had dripped saliva somewhere as much as bent over. Yeah. But if you don't grab the mat, you believe that? I mean, how dumb is that? Hold on one second. We're catching up.
I don't think she even got to the car.
That $300 in Bitcoin was likely by TMZ. JC's Arizona, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the last couple of letters that were sent to TMZ were written by TMZ. Because Harvey Levin has cloven hoofs. He's covered in red, scaly skin. Bifurcated tail, and he carries a hay fork. I have theorized that she got hit in the head, and they didn't realize because of the blood thinner that she'd have an aneurysm. I'm on thinners and have to be super careful. You know what? That's fairly logical. I think that the blood we saw probably, Aleister Crowley bought his house, Jimmy Page's house. I think the blood that we saw, yeah. I think that the blood we saw on the front porch and likely inside the door as well probably was aspirated, right? So according to the blood spatter experts, and I'm no blood spatter expert, I just have absolutely done an awful lot of bleeding out of my nose. But it looks like there was breathing in it, like it oxygenated the blood. And you see that the aspirated blood looks different to the experts. You would think that, yes, I agree with you 100% on that. And I'm kind of blown away. Why would they leave the back door propped open if they took her out the front door? You know what? It doesn't make any sense to me either. It never did. But nothing about this case seems to make sense, right? Yeah, I got the vibe that she thinks her mom's in heaven too. Tell Johnny to sell those peppers. I will do that. It'll be getting them from here to you that'll be the problem. Yes. Maybe she's in a nursing home in the middle of Mexico somewhere. It's probably 1% chance of that. Yeah, I don't see the benefit, right? Levin is in the Epstein files. However, other than this guy with absolutely no chin that my wife calls Gargamel, there's very few people on planet Earth I have less respect for than Harvey Levin. And this other guy's a Nazi. But Harvey Levin is in the Epstein files, but not in the way that you think, right? I've actually chased all that down. If he was in the Epstein files the way that you think he is, I'd be doing shows on it every single day. It would be the only thing I talked about. I would be doing it until Harvey actually took a hit in his rich business. But he was mentioned in an email like, hey, do you think we could get a hold of Harvey Levin to try to get him to do this kind of stuff? And as a spy, this was a guy that worked that kind of crap 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He was trying to always, and I mean always, figure out a way. No, it is the Church of Scientology, or I prefer to call it the child abusing cult of Scientology.
Oh, the snitch religion.
When you're choked, your nose will bleed. There's truth to that. Very often that happens. Yeah, Mop Man, I don't think she made it through the night. They thought it would be a fast cash deal. You would think, right? What about the blue shirt shown on the video by reports? That shirt's a great question, right? Is there any chance that this could be the fetish group, including Neckbeard and Annie? There's a chance of that. I'm freaked out by how many people that are at least in a circle all seem to be into that fetish cult stuff. Because I'm kind of a wild man, and I don't know anybody in a fetish cult. Do you? Uh-oh, Johnny seems to know a few. You're creepy. I can't back that up. He shook his head no.
I like a good fetish as much as the next guy.
Johnny says, I like a good fetish as much as the next guy. Unless the next guy is Tommy Scoville. You hear this low life? Without being vulgar, do you think they may have now, disintegrated her? Yeah. And that's not being vulgar. I mean, these people need to try to get rid of the body. So here's the deal with the shirts, right? They do have more video booger. They've honestly admitted to that, but they're not letting that stuff out, and I find that interesting. So the blue shirt that you saw, you're talking about the beginning of the case. Right next to the walkway to the front door, there was a blue shirt. That was brought from inside the house. It belonged to Nancy Guthrie. They were doing that because when you bring out bloodhounds or dogs that are going to go sniff for somebody, they have to acquire a scent before they start. So they brought out one of her shirts, probably out of a hamper, right, so that they know it had been worn, and they let the dog smell it. The asshats, because the Pima County Sheriff just hit everything out of the park, discarded it in a place where everybody was going to see it, and it caused unbelievable amounts of rumors and misinformation.
You tell people to sleep in a coffin and never forget it.
Right? There is a lot of truth to that. Well, it is a little creepy. I had a pretzel in my mouth and I bent over it and I was drooling. Yeah, I've been telling people that all the time. You put something in your mouth and bend over, you're more than likely going to be drooling. It's just kind of how it goes.
These pretzels make me thirsty.
Okay, just real quickly, because I'm not, I didn't see the shirt. It was a long time ago. What am I doing here? Slot puppy. I had a nosebleed yesterday for about an hour and a half. In fact, I bled through the entire show. You guys probably saw that.
Before, during, and after.
Before, during, and after that show. You know something, man? I love YouTube. Could have been incapacitated enough. You still cough blood, but they may have known she wasn't going to make it, and they had to remove her because the DNA on her fingers, so they panicked. And they took her. All right, as a guy that knew a bunch of criminals and spent 13 years locked up with a bunch of criminals, there's no way you take that body out of there. If you know you hurt her so bad that she's going to die, you kill her right there. And then you take the clothing off, you rip everything out from underneath her fingernails with a blade, and you throw her in the shower and you kick the hot water on her, or you burn the house to the ground. Like, these are the kind of things that criminals do to cover up crimes. They normally don't grab somebody and take off with them. You're now taking a crime that you already effed up on and amplifying it to bring in the FBI and everybody else. She was not on oxygen, but that's a great question. Yeah. Chef Brian, I actually horked out a clot. I know no one wants to hear that, but blew one out. It was small, looked like Hellboy, and ran under the front door. Yeah, but she was still alive. There was still a chance. Yeah, no, okay. But I think if they knew she was too far gone, they wouldn't have taken her. Like, if they knew she was injured that bad. But it looks to me, and I'm no blood spatter expert, but it looks to me like she was standing in front of that door for a while. That front door doesn't look like they were running her out there. It looks like she was hanging out there and leaking. And allegedly, on the other side of that door, she was leaking. That's the only place that you see the blood. I hate to be this guy, and people get really pissed off, but maybe she didn't want to cooperate, and they just gave her, just one of those. It's a crap thing to say, but if you're all in, I mean, you're going into someone's house in the middle of the night to grab them, you're all in. You're a bad person. It wouldn't be a stretch to think that person might have bopped her in the nose. I think she was killed immediately. I think she was buried in the desert, and they will never find her. I hate saying that. If they got rid of the body, the way that they're going to find her is by finding the people that did it. Because when you bring them in, they're gonna talk about giving you the needle, right? And one of them, because I don't think this was a one-man gig, will turn on the others to get out of the death sentence. Hey, Tommy, streamers have stopped the trash guys and asked the sheriff. Never asked them about trash or searched anything in trash cans or garbage trucks, etc. The trash guys even said, this is odd, I bet you were saying. So here's the deal with that. So in the Catalina foothills, trash is picked up one day a week. And usually the first trash day is Wednesday, at least when I was there. So you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they also pick up on Saturday. So they could have gone through all of her trash and not had to worry about, right? It's one barrel. So, you've got this little thing with two wheels on it that you wheel out to the curb. So they may have just gone through that and felt like they didn't need to do anything else. She was alive when they took her. They couldn't remove the body. I absolutely believe she was alive when they walked out. When they walked out of that house, I believe she was alive. I do not think this is a cartel hit. If it was a cartel hit, she would have had 2 or 3 bullet holes in her and they would have left her inside the house. If this was a cartel kidnapping, they would have been way more professional than these guys. Most cartel kidnappings, the person is returned alive. They're in it for money. They're not in it for other stuff. The exceptions to those rules is if they're kidnapping somebody from a rival cartel. Then they're going to videotape them peeling their skin off, and they're going to post it in really weird websites. No joke. Agree, Tia, make sure you put a towel by the shower like the idiot. Yes, exactly. Yeah, correct. It's exactly what you do. You make it look like, this is kind of how it's going to be going down. Could she have answered the door? Absolutely. Absolutely, she could have answered the door. We've gotten so much misinformation that this gets very, very difficult to pick through. I saw a podcast today that said she's in the desert. They will never find her. They said those people know where to take them and no one can ever find them. Well, I mean, I understand why people would say that, but I want to tell you something from someone that lived in the Catalina foothills. People are like, they went out there and dug a hole. Give that a try. Honest to God, go out there with a shovel and try to dig a hole in the Catalina foothills. It looks like sand. It ain't sand. I mean, you can go like this and it's sand on the top, but underneath it, it's boilerplate. It's like trying to dig through cement. And what's crazy about it is one of the ways that they look for people, and I know this, again, this isn't particularly pleasant, but the way that they look for this, I'm sorry, honey. My girl's calling me out. I don't even remember which one I did wrong now. You got to text me. If I'm screwing up, you got to text me, babe. Oh, she already did. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Tommy, do you think it's too late for Pima County to salvage any evidence and send it to Quantico? A lot of it has been. They have sent a lot of stuff to Quantico. However, they should have done it in the very early days of this case. And it's really bad when you send something, especially like we don't know what they got, right? We don't know what they got. And the crazy thing about that is if it's trace DNA, and you understand the difference, like if I'm leaking blood and you've got like that's the DNA you want, right? That's a solid sample. But trace DNA can literally be me walking through your house. If you could see it under the right light, we just rain crap off of us all day long to the tune of, no joke, about 40 pounds over the course of a lifetime. Johnny Scribble, you know how I know that?
Alice Cooper.
We won tickets to an Alice Cooper concert. We were listening to the radio, and the guy said, how much DNA will you drop off your body over the course of a lifetime? And I just called in and guessed 40 pounds. And he's like, how did you know that? I said, I didn't. I'm guessing. This was a absolute, the worst thing that they could have done was to call all that off. They should have, having these scent dogs go through all stolen, recovered cars. Great idea. You're right. Absolutely, they should have. Now, normally, you're going to put some new guys into doing stuff like going over and seeing if any stolen cars were recovered or was there anything on the side of the road. They do stuff like that in any kind of a missing persons investigation. But you're right. They should have had dogs do it. I don't believe that they did anything right. The fact that they're just now putting up billboards in Spanish, it's not like, 3% of the population of Tucson speaks Spanish, right? It's a huge number of Spanish-speaking people in Tucson that aren't going to read the other signs, right? Caliche is a hardened natural cement of calcium, carbonate, sand, clay, and gravel found in arid semi-regions like the Southwest. Yes, you're absolutely 100% right, CJ. And I'll tell you what, when they're looking for bodies, one of the things that they do is they go out and they look for carrion birds. You know what those are, like vultures and things like that? Because, people say she was eaten by javelinas. No. I mean, they can tear a body up, to be sure. Wolves can too, but they don't eat the entire body. That's why carrion birds come around, and all they eat is dead stuff, right? They have a stomach that can handle that, and they eat rotting dead meat. And they look for them because they circle over kills. And that's how they usually find people that they're looking for in the desert, because burying them deep enough that the animals aren't going to get them would be an adventure. And I doubt that anybody would be out there that long and feel that comfortable, because I'm not woofing you. If you had 2 or 3 people, it might take you 5 hours to dig deep enough. You would need a pickaxe. You might even need some heavy equipment. Like I thought, I'll put a post hole in. No, not going to happen. Not going to happen. I tried to put a post hole into, we were going to put a mailbox and move it, and you have to call people in, man. They use augers and equipment. How do we know that Nanos isn't involved? He's pretty violent. I always look for motive, right? And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I always come at this from the criminal side of it, right? So I always look for, what does this guy get out of it? The guy's a piece of crap, make no mistake, right? Hold on a second. Yeah, Alice Cooper was a pisser. Blood is thicker than water, won't snitch out kin. You know what? I got news for you. If I've watched people snitch out kin, I've seen it tons of times. If I told you that 85% of the people in federal system cut deals, would you believe me? 85%. Once you start looking down the barrel of 35 years, there are people that don't. There are people that are stone cold gangsters. Right? I was a bank robber. Good Lord. I was a guy that worked alone. Give me somebody. I'm not lying to you. I went in there and said, how about if I tell on some heroin dealers? I know a crap load of them. The feds didn't want any part of that. I'd have cut a deal like this. Go ahead and judge me. I don't want to do the time. Leave my family, leave everything else. If I could have told on the people that sold me dope, I'd have done it in a heartbeat. They just wouldn't take that deal. But everybody tries to get out of it. It didn't used to be that way. You can blame a guy named Valachi, right? People used to actually I don't tell on anybody. It's a convict code and all that. Once you get inside, you live that way, because there are people that can get at you. But when you're on the street, people snitch, man.
I always tell my bad.
CJ, I agree with you. If they have more video, hey, now that Johnny's outside, I'd have told on his ass too if I could have got out of trouble. He's not going to see that, so we're good. Boston Freebird. If that creepy masked kidnapper showed up at my bedside at 2 a.m., he'd have definitely be taking me out in soiled pajamas. Yeah, statistically speaking, you can dig in the washes. You absolutely can. However, most of them are really out in the public, right? You can see the washes from most of the roads. Elderly women who live alone are generally vigilant about taking their medications. Eliquis, lost around, after a meal. Not if both are involved. Well, here's the deal. If you got 2 involved, one of them, the first person that says, I'm not sticking to this story, right? If they're both involved and they just keep their mouth shut, then they're both just going to do life in prison. But they'll get you separated. They'll put you in 2 different rooms about 40 feet apart. And they're going to walk in, and your brother's name is Dale. They walk in and they go, boy, man, you're an idiot. You probably should have cut a deal before Dale did, because he spilled his guts on all of it. Apparently you were the mastermind. And they do it all the time to people, right? All the time. And they just keep working people. It's awful what they can legally do. For real, it's awful. Absolutely awful. There are old abandoned mines. Are there old abandoned? Yeah, there are, but they're not crap loads of them. And they're not like the mines that you would see in places like Nevada, where there's just open pits with wood over the top of them. The mines out there were a little bit different. Like they had an infrastructure. There's my girl. I'm sure she's mad at me because I've been a little rowdy tonight. But do go over and check out Relatable Reese. She will make you laugh. I don't do that nearly enough. Do you think the white Kia Soul seen on the camera had Nancy in it? It was driving really damn fast to go through the Catalina foothills. I'll be honest with you, man. Tommy told on Johnny to his mommy. Yeah, no, I did. I did regularly. Hey, there you are. Good to see you. You go away, I start talking about you. Once they're caught, you won't be able to shut them up. Yeah, that's what you know what the convicts say? Get out the phone book. right? They had to hit him with a phone book to get him to stop talking. I think that car was driving really, really fast in a neighborhood that people don't drive that fast in. I think that the time period aligns. And when they first said nothing to see here, this thing means nothing, I started thinking that means something, right? Normally in cases like this, when they tell you something, especially if it's something like that, they don't want to tip the people off. They'll go, nah, I don't think that's anything. I think they're looking at every white Kia. And Nanos was dumb enough in an interview to say he's looking at 100,000 cars. They're, looking through any one of 100,000 cars. Like, come on, you saw Joe Dirt, remember? Joe Dirte was able to track down that rare car that his parents were in. If you spend enough time doing it. Tommy, did you see the guy? Yes, Fisher Blue. I'll be covering it tomorrow. TMZ sucks. Yeah, I'm sure there's one or two nice people there, but Harvey Levin sure does. I mean, for real. Harvey would sell his mother if he could get more views, and he'd send her COD. Do they do COD anymore? Does anyone know what that even means?
It means we're old.
Well, if they didn't want the dealers, then what did they want? Actually, they wanted nothing from me. Unfortunately, I wasn't the guy that had a getaway driver. I wasn't the guy that had any of those things. So when you're the only person, they just say, we try to get the best deal we can get. That's about it. What if they put her in a wheelie bin? They could have, right? They could have. There's a white Kia Soul in the background of a man with 2 backpacks. Yeah, but the guy with 2 backpacks, I saw that. Somebody sent me a photo of that. Here's my problem with that. Criminals, for the most part, have a modus operandi. You've heard that, right? What's their MO? When I went into a bank, although I may have changed disguises or whatever, I did the same thing every time I went in there. Because if it worked the first time, you sure as crap aren't going to change it up on the next one, right? So on the video at her porch, they got on a balaclava. They're wearing 2 sets of clubs, right? They really look like they're going out to do some dirt. On the other one, the guy looks like he's going out to get drunk on a Friday night. He's got on jeans. He's got on a T-shirt. There's nothing covering his head. It's a very, very different look. And if he was doing dirt, I would imagine he would be doing dirt the same way. He assumes that the only place that has cameras is where he's going to work on the Nancy Guthrie thing. I would be really, really surprised. Maybe they painted the car. Teresa, they could, but I promise you they're probably, especially yes, that is a wheelbarrow. They'll be looking at stuff like that. They'll be calling Earl Scheib to see if anybody brought in a Kia to paint it. So I never, here's the other thing. Harvey Levin was the first person that talked about the 2 backpack guy, right? And he said, that place is 5 miles from Nancy's house. At 60 miles an hour, he could have been at that house in time to be the person on the camera. I would give you every watch in my watch collection if you could drive 60 miles an hour in the Catalina foothills for 5 minutes. Give that a try, man. Give that a try. Hold on. That's funny as hell. A detective dressed in a bunny suit. He'd come into a room, smack a perp, and leave. After a while, many of the perps were saying they got their ass kicked by a bunny before confessing. I love that. I'm telling you, this is no lie whatsoever. So I spent way too much time being a criminal, but one of the very first times that I ever got arrested, I got the ever-loving crap kicked out of me. For real. And they did it with phone books because it doesn't leave marks on you. Like you get handcuffed to the floor. It's a chain and it goes, so you have a belly chain. It's got your hands, it goes around your waist and goes down to the floor. You can't run, you can't do anything. And they come in and say, we want you to answer some questions. You're like, nah, I'm not answering any questions. And they just start smacking the crap out of you with a phone book. So I did what anybody else would do. I answered their questions. Would you agree if the perps hightailed it across the border, then they're likely long gone under law enforcement's radar and Mrs. G likely never to be found? Yeah, that's logical, right? That's logical. But here's what I would say. And again, I can only bring this to you from a guy that broke a lot of laws. I have broken the law in the process of crossing an international border. In fact, that border, in the course of my life, I crossed from Mexico into the United States, breaking the law 4 or 5 dozen times. It is literally one of the scariest things to do in the world. And I know people go on the way in, they don't check your car. They don't check any cars. They absolutely do. Now they don't check a lot of them. It's like 1 out of a dozen, maybe even 1 out of 15 if they're being lazy. But what if that's your car? Driving around dirty, right? That's the term that people use. I was riding dirty. And that can mean you got 4 kilos in your trunk. It could mean you got pistols in your car. It could mean you got somebody in your car you're not supposed to have in your car, or worse, a body. So to take somebody across a border like that, just riding dirty is scary. You can get arrested doing nothing wrong. A cop goes, that's an odd car to be in that neighborhood. They turn around and get behind you and go, hey, your license plate light is flickering. Cops do this every day. Every day. You ever notice cops come up to the car? What's the first thing they say? What's the first thing they say, Johnny Scoville? Do you know why I pulled you over? Correct. Do you know why they say that? Because they're hoping you're going to answer it. Because if you go, well, I was speeding a little bit, you're done. Right? They'll go, yeah, you're damn right you were speeding. I was like, I'll ask the questions here. Why did you pull me over? Isn't it true most crimes committed by someone you know and acquainted with? Yes, this particular brand of crime, right? There are a lot of crimes that are done by people that have nothing to do with anything. Like if a guy's stealing your car stereo, it's probably not somebody you know, right? If a guy's going to break into your house to steal from you, you're not going to know them. If someone's going to snatch a family member, yeah, more than 7 out of 10 times, by some estimations, 8 out of 10 times, you're absolutely, you can fart loud and get arrested. It's the numbers normally go with Pick Bunny took place about 30 years ago. I love that. I'll tell you something else. They used to hit guys in the head with blackjacks if you were in county jail. Like you got out of whack. They used to keep these little leather things on their belt, and they were filled with like the lead weight that you use when you go fishing, right? And they would just smack you on the head with it. And I'm telling you, it would change your disposition in about a half a second. That's my girl. Please stop by and check out her channel. Every single person I sent over there thanks me. And the Johnny Scoville at Chase the Heat. Absolutely worth checking him out. He went live. You going live tomorrow? See that? There you go. That in answer to your question, he is going live tomorrow. You love that rap song, Riding Dirty? I don't know that rap song, Riding Dirty, but there's nothing worse about it. How about this? You're driving through doing nothing wrong. I had a friend I met in federal prison, right? We were in the same cell block. One of the nicest guys you ever met. And he, for a very long time, worked for the cartels. And all he did was drive dope. And he was the cleanest looking dude you've ever seen. He looked like an attorney. And no one ever gave him any crap. Somebody in college met him and he said, I'll do that once because he can make 25 grand. And he did it for about 8 years. And all he was doing was getting on a freeway. And somebody drunk as hell ran into his car. It rolled 3 times. And when the cops got there, the trunk had popped. All of the dope was all over the place. Like, didn't require an awful lot of investigation, right? There was just literally bales of crap all over the place. Didn't do anything wrong. But when you're riding dirty, there's 100,000 ways to get popped. You're driving doing nothing wrong, and literally the fuse goes out. Now you're missing a brake light. They pull you over. A rock jumps up from a truck in front of you and breaks your windshield. They pull you over for having a crack in your windshield. Criminals don't like riding dirty. I can't imagine they would have been stoked to drive across the border. Finishing that thought, that border right there, when you get onto the other side of that border, it is a sad situation to be sure. When you get onto the other side of the border, you're going to be in Sonora, Mexico, right? Sonora, Mexico is run by a cartel, right? 100%. In fact, it's run by the Sinaloa boys. And if you do something to screw up their business, they'll turn you in like this, like that. They will turn you in because they do not want you screwing up their corridor, right? They estimate that 30 to 40% of all the fentanyl in the United States comes across that border crossing. So you go down there with some woman and they start thinking that woman's there. So they're going to send down DEA. They're going to send down FBI, and they have offices there. But they're going to send down crap loads of agents that speak good Spanish. And the cartel guys are going to go find out who's got that woman and turn them in. Because we're not going to spend the next 6 months with federal agents from the United States screwing up our ability to smuggle drugs, right? Bottom line. True about high risk of crossing border, but on the other hand, they knew they were looking at homicide charges after the whole kidnap plan blowing up. True. But so let's say I did this and say she was still alive and I was dumb enough to walk out with her. Wouldn't do this kind of crime. It wasn't the kind of crime I did. Stipulate that. But if I did, I do think they're local. If I did this, here's where it starts to become a problem. I absolutely believe they are local because driving through the Catalina foothills, right, especially at the speeds that they were doing, there's no way you pull that off if you're not local. Right? If that white car belonged to them, nobody drives that fast in the Catalina foothills. Even locals, you really got to know where you're going because the roads they go like this, right? It's just crazy, crazy hard how difficult it is to drive in there. So I think they were local. You disappear across the Mexican border, you're home free, right? Everybody you know is going to call the cops and go, hey, I haven't seen Johnny Scoville since that crime happened, right? I want that $1 million. Boston Freebird says Nanos messed up the crime scene so badly that an apology note might be the only non-tainted evidence to use in court. Good point. Tiger Woods absolutely was in a car wreck, and he was rolling dirty. They gave him a sobriety test. Terrible place to park. You see a picture of it?
I did.
You're going to get caught if you park your Range Rover on the driver's side door. They're going to give you a DWI test. He lost I know the Los Zetos cartel. I do know who they are. So he was on the side like this, crawled out, and they wanted to give him the field sobriety test. He failed the field sobriety test. Then he agreed to take a breathalyzer, which came up all zeros. But his problem in the past was with pills and alcohol. My gut says he was probably doing a lot of pills. So I heard he lives in Brazil. That's right. Johnny Scoville's in Brazil. He's got nothing to worry about. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? Yeah, he flipped it onto the door. Sadly, he's had 3 of these now, right? One of them ended his career in a really bad accident. I feel horrible for the guy because of his drug problem. But he's a dirtbag. He cheated on his wife, right? I knew the family that the wife worked for in Utah. She used to work as a nanny, like an au pair. And so apparently she was a really, really nice person. Do you think it might have started out as a burglary? Absolutely no chance. In my opinion, right? Absolutely. And I'm just giving you my opinion. No freaking chance. And they talked to the guy that used to handle burglaries. That was his investigative beat in the Catalina foothills. And they said, do you think this started out as a burglary? And he agreed with me. He said, no, I don't think there's. And yeah, he refused a urine test. Don't trip though. You refuse the urine test, they strap you down and take your blood. Or you agree to do it so that you don't let them strap you down and take your blood. But he absolutely is. The toxicology is going to be pending, and he's going to be in trouble. Here's why I don't think it started out as a burglary. Burglars aren't idiots for the most part, right? So their biggest fear is that they're going to go in there, and the person on the other side of the door is going to have a gun, because you can be 84 years old, but if you're hanging out with Mr. Colt, you're just as tough as the guy coming through the front door. Right, you got Smith and Wesson, and you're in a decent chance of putting up a good fight. You don't have to be strong. You don't have to be big. 3 pounds of pressure, right? Pull that trigger, and it gets scary. There are 900 million guns in a country of 330 million people. Most people who do keep a gun for protection, where do they keep it? Right next to their bed. So guys that do this kind of stuff, if it's a home invasion, and I know this from a lot of criminals that got busted for this. If you're going to do a home invasion, and normally you won't unless the guy's a drug dealer or somebody that you know, but if you're going to do a home invasion, you're going to do it at breakfast, or you're going to do it at dinner. You want to do it if the people are home, you got a good chance of knowing where they are so that you can control it before someone starts calling 911. Burglars rob houses during the day when no one is home. They rob businesses at night because there's nobody in them, but they don't want to come across somebody with a gun, right? It got him a second charge because he refused it. And on top of that, Valerie, they're going to suspend his license for, 18 months? Yeah, you're always better off to take it. If you're ever wondering about that, just take it. Take the drug test, take the alcohol test. Even if you're dirty, you're way better off taking it, because if not, they're going to suspend the crap, and it's going to just make your life worse. There's more charges, and when you get in front of a jury, they're going to go, well, that doesn't look good. Just take it, right? And then you can go and cut a deal or do whatever, right? Hold on one second. Looking for blood. Yeah, we're good. It wasn't Hellboy, but it didn't look good. I'm not beating the car. I'm taking it as part of the divorce settlement. BWAT, we have been waiting for you this entire time. Are you guys ready to go? I'm telling you, how many times I told you what time we're going. Hey, everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. I'm kidding. But thank you, BWAT. I'm glad that you're here. I found it odd that every time they supposedly case the house, right? It was a Saturday, and this happened on a Saturday. Why not a weeknight? If I were going to case a house or a bank or anything, I'm going to case it on the day that I intend to go in, because you're trying to determine habits. Maybe that's what they were doing. Maybe it wasn't. But if I'm casing a bank, I'm going to case it on a Wednesday if I'm going to rob it on a Wednesday. If I case it on a Friday, I'm going to see people going in there to cash checks, all kinds of them. Now, nobody cashes checks anymore, but I'm talking about back when I was a criminal. They are making me take a distraction course online. Want me to pay $480 total. It's a shakedown. Well, welcome to the criminal system. Truthfully, welcome to the criminal system. But why would you rob or do this on a Saturday when people are up late and take the chances of getting caught when weeknights are. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. At 2 o'clock in the morning, right? If you're doing a home invasion, right? This is not a burglary. It's a home invasion. You're going in to kidnap somebody. The odds that this woman is not in bed at that time. I mean, my mother is the same age, and if I go past about 8:30, right, I got a pretty good chance that she's going to be in bed. Yeah, I don't think that he was. I think that he wanted to see where the camera was. That would be my guess. Exactly where the camera was. Maybe how wide the windows were in the front, but he knew the property. Like, he knew enough about it that it didn't look like exploration. He looked super comfortable, but I think he was probably scoping out all of the other houses. You go there on a Saturday night, those, the people that live there might be younger. Do they party on Saturday night? What is this looking like? And on the outside chance, it could be a, how does it affect your theory of the crime that Savannah says the ransom notes were real? Thanks. Well, here's the thing. What I have said from Jump Street is that the people that I like most for this, with the cast of characters that we have, now you're missing my question, Saturday night, neighbors are up late. Well, that's how you check it out, right? There's a reason that he was picking Saturday, and it probably had more to do with him than with her, right? These people could probably disappear on a Saturday without anybody seeing them. I mean, realizing they're gone. Look, if you're a criminal and you have family, you have friends, and you take off for 9 hours, people are going to go, where the hell were you on Saturday? Then this thing breaks, right? So maybe Saturday's the day that they can absolutely blow it off. Maybe they work late nights on Saturday and they were going to take that day off. Or maybe it's a coincidence. But I get what you're saying. So what I've been saying from the beginning is, with the cast of characters that we know of, Annie and Neckbeard made more sense to me than anybody else, right? That's my theory. And my theory of the case has been, this was going to be a kidnapping for leverage or a kidnapping for money, and they killed her in the process. And nothing's going to change that theory. Now, the theory of the family could get changed by a lot of things. He was on pills, not drinking. Absolutely, Mike. And pills have been his problem. I think the last time he got busted, it was Loratab. If I had to guess. Yeah, and he had also taken a sleeping pill as well. If I had to guess, I would say that he's probably graduated from those. They're not particularly strong. Ain Todd says, my mom is 89. She gets up 2 or more times a night. I believe that. My mom probably does too, but she doesn't go to bed at 2 a.m. And I think the theory still makes sense. Or they think people leave on weekends. I mean, when you case someplace, more likely than not, you want to case it on the night you're going to hit it. It's not particularly logical to case something on a Monday and hit it on a Saturday. And maybe there's a reason that Saturday was the only night that he could do it. Neckbeard will never get old. I don't know. Have you seen it recently? A little gray in there? I know what you're saying. But that's, hey, there are people watching. What is the matter with you? Huh? Feel good about yourself? What are you doing? Katie. You absolute. What is wrong with you? She was licking herself in places she shouldn't with people watching.
Especially with that tongue.
Yeah. That sandpaper tongue she's got. Money talks and BS walks the, what was it? Money talks and BS runs the marathon. See ya? And I wouldn't want to be it. I did time with him. Did you ever see New Jack City? The guy that they based that character on? I was actually in a federal prison with him. He was only about 5'4". Hey, Philip Carter, I'm glad you're here. The cat is oblivious. Yeah, that's kind of her defining characteristic. Oh, no. I know people are going to get bummed out, but look at this. That is literally the cutest thing cats do. She was doing the licking my paw and rubbing my head with it. But she's a cat, so she knows that allegedly Ambien. Yeah, Ambien was it.
Because everybody parties on Ambien.
Why not, right? That's a little couple of respiratory depressants just to kick that in. The way I read the report on this. Hey, there you are. I read the report on the accident. It's confusing as hell. They said he went to pass a truck that was pulling a little trailer for something like, where you would tow maybe lawnmowers or something like that. And at the last second, he clipped that. And I'm like, how, on the last second. So it sounds like he clipped it on the way out as opposed to the way in, but I can't really figure it out. Thank you, Punisher. I really appreciate that. Anyone jealous of the kitty contortionist? You can't prove that, Todd. Pressure washer. Thank you. That was exactly what it was. So do you understand how that went? Because to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe I just read it wrong.
He's lit. That's all.
What's that?
He's lit.
He's lit. It's got a lot to do with it. Punisher, thank you for keeping free speech alive. All right, people. 920 of you in here. Do me. Wow. What the hell just happened? YouTube just scrolled everything down here at 80 miles an hour. Do me a favor and smack that like button, hit subscribe, and hit the bell for notification. And this may be the most important thing out there. Tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing a show here that if you miss, I swear to God, you're going to be missing one of the best ones I do. This is on Lafayette Ron Hubbard, the guy that started Scientology, the cult of Scientology, and exactly how that came to be, because I promise you, even if you think you know it, you don't know the story. And it will throw in CIA, we'll throw in Aleister Crowley, and how about the fact that they don't have a problem whatsoever with the fact that a guy who's 47 could be making out with a girl that's 9 because she's just an adult in a little body. Think I'm making that up? Please tune in tomorrow. What time? Maybe about the same time as it was tonight. To be, I would say normally about 8:30, but of course my wife will be doing it, so maybe 9:15. She likes to be fashionably late. I'm going to be in trouble for that, but she does. McKenna, I'm glad that you're here. And honestly, it's one of the most fascinating. 8 o'clock. See that? That's why you need your wife there, because I'm never right. Because I'm never right. Yeah. What an absolute crap bag. LRH. Yeah. And apparently, if he was still alive, he'd be able to smell his breath from exactly where you're at. Isn't that crazy? One of the most. Oh, I'm doing a Chris Watts. It'll be probably midweek next week. Ah, there you go. That makes a lot more sense. Say hi to Mr. Sexy. He's right there. I'll do that. Yeah, of course she was. No, he wasn't slowing down. The vehicle saw him coming at a high speed. The driver of the truck tried to pull into a driveway, but he clipped the pressure washer. There you go. Hit a curb, right? And then popped up on his side. Nothing worse than when a pressure washer jumps out at your nodding out ass, right? He's probably nodding out, man. Yes. Do you know this? Does anyone else know this? Do you know who this man is? Put a 3 in the chat if you know who we're talking about. By the way, do you know what I'm doing on Sunday, Johnny Scoville? I'm donning a tinfoil hat. Sunday night, we are putting on tinfoil hats. Be here at 8:30. That would be 8:30 on what time zone? Hey, Reese, what time zone are you in? Central. See that? Central. Says it before I even ask. So 8 o'clock on Sunday night, I'm doing tinfoil Sunday. Bring your tinfoil hats, bring your conspiracies, and we're going to talk about them. What's that? Bring your green hat. Yeah, you, Snoopaloop, bring your green hat. Yes, this is the guy who, he's the Bilbo Beach guy. This is the guy that allegedly is responsible for the serial killings out on Long Island. And I'm blown away. Didn't see this coming. I'll be really honest with you. I didn't see this coming. I'll wear my tinfoil poncho. The hat just doesn't cut it anymore. Barbara, I respect the hell out of that. Reese, you ready? You know what I'm talking about. What's Johnny's channel's name? It would be Chase the Heat. It's a huge channel. I got a little one. Johnny's famous. You are, like it or not. Oh, you want to play? He's a legend. So how does Chris make it in prison? I'm already wearing my tinfoil hat because he's been doing pretty well by them keeping him away from other people, but that hasn't been working out. See, they can get you someplace and they can, when you get sent in there, they can say you're somebody else. Tinfoil Speedos, that's the spirit. Of course, with where I sit, you don't know that I'm not wearing one now. Oh, you'll get used to it. Power washer. There you go. Chase the Heat. Thank you, David Booley. All right, Reese. I'll be calling you in about 6 minutes. All right, people. On the way out, smack the like button. Hit Johnny Scoville's channel up at Chase the Heat. And then go by and see my wife, Relatable Reese. And then every time she's live, you're going to see me in the chats where I hang out. It's my favorite channel on YouTube. I kid you not. Johnny Scoville's being the second. You know, you used to be my favorite until you started burning me every single time we hang out.
Why'd you volunteer to eat my peppers?
I have no memory of volunteering to eat your freaking peppers.
I have the video.
This is 2026, bro. It's probably AI. 3 more to hit 500. Woohoo! Hit that like button on the way out, people. 500 would really help the cause. Why would Annie call the cops before Savannah? Because she got to the crime scene before Savannah, right? Savannah was not in Arizona. She went out to the crime scene, found the blood and all that. That's why she called the cops. Promise you. All right, people. See you on the next one. I am Tommy. Between now and then, pray for that family. And for the love of God, go over there and hit subscribe at my brother and my wife's channel. Smack that like button. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good night.